Beginners think that sailing can be dangerous, but the truth is safety is not about experience. It's about one simple secret. Stay with me and I'll show you exactly what it is. If you ever dreamt of sailing but feel intimidated, don't worry, you're not alone. The ocean can look scary at the beginning. You have lines, waves, and the wind and the boat, they're all moving at the same time, and it can be scary. The fact is that most of the accidents don't happen offshore. They happen at the dock or close to shore, and most of the times it's human error and it's not due to the ocean. In this video I will break down the small safety habits every beginner should know. The mindset, the preparation, the routine that you should create that actually keep you safe. You don't need years of experience and you don't need brute strength. That is not what on a boat is needed. You just need to start the right approach.
So he sails into the rising sun, leaving behind what he's become. Freedom at sea, where the world feels wide. A captain of dreams with the moon as his guide. Bought a boat with a weathered frame. Paint was peeling, but she called his name.
By the end of this video, you will see why a calm sailor is a checklist sailor. So you can start feeling more confident and safe starting from the first day on your boat. Ask anyone that's never sailed before and they will tell you that sailing looks beautiful, but it can be intimidating and it looks dangerous as well, especially if you see the wrong type of images. Actually, sailing is all the opposite of dangerous. I know you can have waves and wind and lines and ropes flying everywhere, and most of all, boats have no brakes, but that doesn't make it different. Sailing is a beautiful thing and it's not dangerous as long as you understand what it actually needs to make it happen. The secret that makes sailing safe for beginners is not experience. But that is obvious. You are a beginner, you have no experience. What makes it safe is actually the mindset, the way you prepare for your first sails. As I said in the previous videos, I grew up in the mountains and I lived there most of my life before I moved to Florida. And the fact is that when I first got on a small motorboat, the sea was a mystery to me. And on the motorboats, I started learning how to move around, how the sea is, and I stopped worrying and I started respecting the ocean. Most people think that accidents happen far offshore in heavy weather, hurricane or storms. Actually, the Coast Guard data shows something that is absolutely surprising. Most accidents happen very close to shore, if not at the dock, usually in calm weather, and 99% of the times is a human error. Fear comes from not knowing what to expect. Once you start understanding the basics, the wind direction and the weather windows, and the few simple drills that you need to know to sail a boat, fear starts to fade away, leaving place to a peaceful and enjoyable living. You realize that sailing is not chaos, it's just a rhythm. The ocean rewards calm and methodical people, not adrenaline junkies, and believe me, I know what I'm talking about. I have been one my whole life. When I was very young, I was used to think that with the right amount of courage and aggressive power, you could overcome anything. Then I learned that there is a moment for everything under the sun, and even for a calm risk assessment. There is time for moving and there is time for standing still. I understand that it's just about being ready. The ocean is not out there just to get you. The sea means no harm. It makes its own course. Sometimes we are just on the way. Never forget to respect him. And he is not the enemy. The fact that is nature, just don't care. So if you're curious about my journey from zero to hands-on sailing, like, subscribe, hit the bell, and don't forget to leave a comment down below. So what is the safety secret that I've been titling this video about? It is not fancy gear. It is not a bigger boat. It's basic knowledge. It's learning our limits, our boat's limits, and is learning to understand when it's time to take a risk and where it is not. The rest is pure simple repetition of basic habits. As a captain of small motorboats, I created a fast checklist that I follow every single time I'm ready to get out on the water. I cannot consider myself an old soul, not even on motorboats, because I mostly use it a few months a year, mostly during the summer, even though the Mediterranean is a pretty nasty sea. The fact is that following these repetitions every single time, it made it possible for me to never really have to face troubles or dangerous situations within the 25 years I've been on the water. First thing that I consider before getting out in the water is the reason why. If I go out just for the love of being out on the water, then I check the forecast first and I may adapt my plan to the forecast, remaining in closed water or in more covered areas where the wind and the fetch are not building up waves, and in this case is good. If I have a plan, then I check the weather forecast for the time frame that the plan involves and the whole ample location where the plan is needed to be executed. And in this case, I decide if it's right to go on with the plan or I need to wait. About the forecast, I never check one single source. I tend to use more of them, compare them, decide using the instrument and my personal opinion and my personal forecast, and putting everything together, I then decide how to operate. If the sensation that the forecast it may be wrong, I just change the plan or I don't execute it at all. This is actually the first safety tip I can give you, especially for beginners. If you ever have a doubt about your skill to face the conditions, just make the safest choice and don't exit the dock. Never, never, never make a step longer than your leg. After the planning part, there is a pure practical checklist that you have to execute before you leave the dock. Check the boat, check the standard equipment, check the emergency equipment. This includes, on a sailboat, the fuel. I know it's not a motorboat. You can go almost everywhere with a very small amount of fuel or with no fuel with a sailboat. But if anything happens, you will need the engine. That's it. These preliminary suggestion, tips, things, call it how you like to, prevent most of the problems that you can ever face, and they can replace anything else you can buy. The moment these habits become automatic, everything changes. Sailing as well as seagoing becomes predictable, and you stop reacting and start anticipating. In the military, I learned that you have a checklist for just about anything. Then you have a plan, And above that, you have at least 2 contingency plans. Only if everything is not working and is not in line with the situation, you can improvise. So if I have to put it in a sentence, a calm sailor is a checklist sailor. So let's start knocking off a couple myths that usually keep people from even trying sailing. Myth number 1, you have to be strong to handle a sailboat. That is absolutely not true. Sailboats are filled with winches and blocks and everything that you need to make it manageable even in the weakest conditions. You don't need brute strength to do it. I think that the oldest person that ever finished a solo sailing non-stop circumnavigation of the world was 81 when he finished his journey, and I don't think that brute strength was one of the things that made it happen. Myth number 2, sailing can be dangerous because of storms. Let's put it this way, sailing most happens in moderate and calm weather. You don't go out chasing storms. And with the new forecast systems, you're pretty sure that the weather will be what they tell you. So you can plan your weather window exactly to avoid any storm or any problem. This obviously may not apply if you plan a very long passage, but most of the people never really do 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks straight on passages. So that is not actually a real truth. Myth number 3, and this is the preferred one from the old salt. You need years of experience to be safe at sea. Let's face the truth, 90% of the sailor will never see any kind of sailor beyond inshore or best case scenario coastal cruising. And we're talking 10, 15, maximum 20 miles from shore, which is actually really close to the coast anyway. The fact is that sailing is much, much safer than driving on the highway, but nobody's telling you that you cannot go on the highway because it's not going to be safe. That is something that you do every single day. Most accidents, if you check on the Coast Guard statistics, it happens due to a couple single reasons. One is lack of awareness, considering and overestimating your skills and the boat capabilities, and a lack of maintenance on the boat. These are the main reasons of accidents. If you avoid these issues, you will probably have a very, very boring sailing life. So condensing everything in one single thing, I can say that the more you prepare, the less drama you will face out there. So you don't need to look like Popeye to be safe out there. You just need to take care of your boat, understand your limits, and check the weather forecast before you cast off. Here's a short safety list that every beginner should learn before his maiden trip. Number 1, always remember to wear your life jacket. Number 2, make a written checklist so you will not skip any step before you untie the lines. Number 3, remember to learn how to use a VHF and how to make a distress call and practice it. Number 4, learn to read a forecast and learn to compare it with your skill levels. Number 5, learn what reefing is, how it works, and practice it on dock before you leave. And talking about reefing, remember that the moment you have a doubt if you should reef or not, is the time to do it right away. One last thing that is actually not in the checklist, but I mean, we live in the 2000s, almost a quarter up in the century, and we rely way too much on gadgets. Don't rely on gadgets. No gadget in the world will be able to replace what you should have between your ears. When the moment finally comes for you to untie the lines, get on your boat for the first time, and get out there, remember to do everything in baby steps. There's no shortcut on learning sailing. You cannot just cast out and think you can cross an ocean. Start small, get acquainted with the boat, with the equipment, with how the boat reacts, and push your limit every single day just a little bit farther than you are comfortable with. It's important that you go beyond your comfort zone, that it's needed to learn, but it's important that you don't go too much beyond that comfort zone, because the moment you have a problem, it might be too much of a big problem for your capabilities, and you will not be able to manage the situation. So, especially at the beginning, you don't need to practice in rough weather. Just go out, repeat the same steps till you're comfortable with them, and then go on with the next step. I personally believe that safety doesn't kill adventure. You do not need to be reckless or a jackass to live adventures. You need to learn how to assess risk, how to evaluate your skills, and make the calculated choice. It's actually this kind of behavior that really unlocks the adventures, because adventure is not just risking your life. Adventure is doing something that you're able to enjoy and that it makes you feel alive. That it doesn't mean you have to risk dying to feel alive. You need to enjoy the freedom that sailing can really give you. I was just a kid, barely able to ride a bike, when with that same bike I tried to jump over a creek. And as you can expect, I found myself flying headfirst toward the ground. In those 2 or 3 seconds of flight in perfect The Greatest American Hero style, people my age already laughing, knowing exactly what I'm talking about. Anyway, in those couple seconds of flight, I realized that probably evaluating the risks and not overestimating my skills was something that I needed to learn just before I smashed on the ground. I learned that lesson again when I was in the military, jumping down airplanes and rappelling down buildings, jumping inside windows and down of running trucks. You always have to understand the risk, know exactly what you can and what you cannot do, and reduce the risk of hurting yourself. I understood that safety is not about fear. It's about understanding your limits and understanding that your mission is to complete the mission, not just go on and hope that something will allow you, even bare luck, to complete your plan. So you will learn to reduce the risk as much as possible and enhance your chances of success. That is the moment I started having less doubts and being more conscious. That is where everything started to become possible, because my plan was calculated on the skills and what the abilities are. And I understood that shit happens and there is nothing you can do about it. But what you can do is give yourself the maximum amount of chance of success. And that is something that is done on a desk before, in our specific case, you untie the lines. I am starting now facing, and I will face new adventures in sailing, and I will do them the same way I've done all the other things I've been doing in my life. I don't want to go out and make reckless choices, but I want to go out and enjoy this new adventure that is sailing, wherever it will be able to bring me. It can be just going around here, island hopping in the Caribbeans for a few weeks, or circumnavigating the Gulf of Mexico, as I said at the beginning of this channel, is actually my first short-term or mid-term objective. Learning enough to do something to be proud of, and something that most people won't do, and something that is bringing me to the edge of my skills. Preparation doesn't make you paranoid, it makes you peaceful. And that is exactly one of the things that I want to feel when I get on the boat. I want to chase adventures, and there is no doubt on that, but there's still gonna be days where I just want to get out on the water, just to stay as far as possible from other people, alone and peacefully. And one thing that I will never get tired of repeating to people: you don't need to know everything even before you start. You can learn while you're doing things. What I can suggest to you is start now and learn while you're enjoying the journey. And always remember that safety is a skill and it's not luck. I really hope this video helped you replace a little fear with some understanding, because my idea is to inspire people to take their life back in their hands, bring those dreams that have been collecting dust inside a drawer, and start pinning them in your planning board, just to begin your journey to make them real. If I have vaguely been successful, please hit the like button, share this video with people that have been too nervous to start sailing, or even just to follow whatever dream they have in their drawer. The end of the hurricane season is getting pretty close, so very soon I will start shopping around for a reliable boat for me to call the first one. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you want to follow my research and how I will prepare the boat for my first exits, and how I will start sailing. And obviously I will come on with everything that I'm learning hands-on, and I will share it directly for you while I'll building my confidence on small trips and day sailings. I've got plenty coming from the Gulf Coast. And remember, a safe sailor is a checklist sailor. I know this sounds more like an advertising line for an accountant school more than a sailing channel, but it is what it is. Thank you and enjoy your day.